Toronto police are investigating yet another brazen smash and grab jewelry store robbery in the city. This one happening in Rexdale. A truck rammed through a shop at Islington Avenue and Albion Road yesterday evening while customers were inside. Brittany Billette spoke to one of the store owners whose husband is now recovering in hospital.
Online video shows disguised robbers swinging sledgehammers in a Rexdale jewelry shop. Moments earlier, they drove a Dodge Ram into the store. It all happened at around 5:30 p.m. on Sunday. Co-owner Sadia Sharma spoke to CBC off camera. She said she and her husband Raj were attending to customers just before the chaos erupted. She says her husband was attacked by the suspects, an event that's left her traumatized. He's now in hospital with serious injuries, but is responsive. Her shop neighbor says in all of her 25 years of business in the area, she's never seen anything like this.
What happened yesterday, I'm so scared because the car came all the way inside. All the time everybody's sitting. Yesterday we are very busy here. And if something happened with us, I'm so scared. So we really need safety, my dear.
Officers have canvassed the area for video surveillance, but no suspects have been arrested so far. This Ram raid is one of several jewelry store robberies that's happened this month, and numbers show these kinds of crimes have skyrocketed. Toronto police say jewelry store robberies have jumped 74%. At this time last year, there were 27 cases. This year, there have been 47 so far.
Gold price has gone up astronomically. If I rob a jewelry store, I'm getting more money than I did last year. And so that's a big factor, honestly.
This gold store manager works just around the corner from Raj's jewelry. He says he's disappointed to see yet another violent robbery, especially since he was robbed and beaten by armed thieves just this July.
It's scary for us. We cannot do our business nowadays. Whoever come, we are scared if they have the revolver, if they will buy from us, or they came here for doing robbery here.
In a statement to CBC, a TPS spokesperson said Toronto Police Services Hold-Up Squad is collaborating closely with other law enforcement agencies in the GTA, Toronto Crime Stoppers, the Retail Council of Canada, jewelry store owners, property management companies, and security companies, among others.
The idea of being in your business where a vehicle comes plowing through the front door or the back door, it's just unthinkable and completely terrifying. A lot of insurance companies are saying if you have a street-facing or parking lot-facing store, you have to put in pylons, concrete, steel-supported pylons in front of the store to prevent a ram raid like that.
Toronto Police is encouraging businesses to adopt proactive security measures. That includes installing cameras with high visibility and hiring additional security to help make their location less attractive to criminals. Brittany Billette, CBC News, Toronto.
A new annual report is giving us a glimpse into the state of early childhood education in Ontario. It shows that the percentage of childcare staff who are registered early childhood educators has gone down since 2022, bringing the province further away from meeting its targets. Naama Weingarten explains.
When Ontario signed onto the federal national program meant to lower childcare fees to $10 a day, the province aimed for 60% of full-time staff to be registered early childhood educators, known as RECEs, by next year. It was roughly just 1% away from that target back in 2022. But a recent annual report from the Ministry of Education tells us that goal is now even further out of reach. It shows that despite the number of overall staff increasing, the proportion of them that are RECEs dropped nearly 3%.
It doesn't tell a full story of, are educators staying in the sector? Are we addressing retention? Is this a recruitment issue?
Industry professionals say that 60% target is there for a reason.
They have 2-year diplomas, some of them have 4-year degrees, and they have this unique knowledge and skill set that they put into practice in those programs. So it's important that they're there.
And yet, early childhood educators in licensed childcare are twice as likely to resign 3 years into the job, compared to those working in other settings, like schools.
When we hear from early childhood educators across Ontario, the number one thing they talk about is wages. Total compensation.
So make sure you push it really hard.
Ontario implemented a wage floor for RECEs for next year, set to just shy of $25 an hour. Right now, their minimum pay is $1 less than that.
It's an emotionally demanding profession. Early childhood education, it's long hours, the wages and benefits, we would all like to see those improved for people, and that would help attract more people to the profession.
Andrea says if work conditions don't get much better, another solution would be to let more international students stay and work here.
They're coming here, they're doing their work placements, so they maybe already have a very good relationship with an employer. The employer wants them to stay.
What colors do you have in there?
Canada and Ontario invested $18.5 million in childcare professional development this year. That includes improving recruitment and retention. Education Minister Jill Dunlop said in a statement she'll continue to advocate for parents and childcare workers to build a sustainable system. Nama Weingarten, CBC News, Toronto.
Canada Post is set to start accepting new international mail and parcels today as it ramps up to normal operations after the month-long strike. The post office says it expects to work through much of its backlog before Christmas. That's welcome news for small businesses and people who had presents delayed in the mail. But the corporation is warning that delivery delays will probably continue into early January. A package delivery between urban centers may take an extra 2 or 3 days. Parcels traveling longer distances could face delays of up to 10 days. And a reminder for news anytime, you can head to our website. That's at cbc.ca/Toronto or download the CBC News app. It was a very special day for young Maple Leafs fans. The team held its annual Next Generation game this afternoon. And what a perfect opportunity for a young aspiring broadcaster to take over the mic. And that is exactly what happened as 24-year-old David Bowen, son of Leafs legendary broadcaster Joe Bowen, got to call the second period of the game against the Winnipeg Jets. Greg Ross has more.
Nylander across to Marner, throwing it out front, they score! Johnny Toronto!
That was David Bowen's call of a John Tavares goal for the Leafs in the second period against the Jets. Looking over his shoulder while he made that call was longtime Leafs broadcaster Joe Bowen, who also happens to be David's dad.
He is my dad, and as everyone views him as a legend, I kind of just view him as my dad to me. So I'm not worried. I'm not scared to be in his presence.
David admits there were still some nerves as he prepared to call the second period of this game. Of course, Dad had plenty of advice to help quell those nerves.
It's not World War III. Have some fun. The game is fun. The game, if it wasn't fun, no one would come to watch it.
While this was David's first time calling a Leaf game, it's not the first time he's been in the broadcast booth to do play-by-play for hockey.
The past 3 seasons I've been doing OHL games for the Sudbury Wolves, the team that I used to play junior for, and I'm very grateful to be able to get that opportunity.
He's also watched his dad do the job his entire life, something he has plenty of fond memories of, including one that stands out. The night Leafs star Austin Matthews made his NHL debut.
When Matthews scored 4 goals in his first game, just the pure excitement.
Center in front, they score! They score! Austin Matthews!
By the time he scored the 4th one, it sounded like tears were coming out of his eyes. So I would say that one's probably my favorite call of his.
The elder Bowen is also known for a certain catchphrase.
Holy Mackinac!
The younger Bowen hasn't had one stick yet, but at 24 years old, he has plenty of time. And who knows, maybe he will follow in his father's footsteps and one day take over calling Leafs games permanently.
Would I obviously want to do that someday? Of course. I mean, watching him his whole career, it seems like a pretty good gig to do. And just growing up in Toronto and obviously being involved with the Maple Leafs, I would be thrilled to do that.
For now, Dad was just happy to share this moment with his son.
It's a huge family moment, and all of his brothers and everybody else very, very excited about it. And I'm obviously very proud.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Winter is officially here, and so is the snow. Today's snowy conditions making it a perfect day for tobogganing, but maybe not the greatest for drivers on the roads. The city is currently under an Environment Canada weather advisory. Our Tyreek Reed has more on what people can expect into the holidays.
I love it. I love it. Christmas is almost here, and hopefully we get a white Christmas.
It's beginning to look like it will be a white Christmas in the GTA, thanks to an Alberta clipper moving through the region. The city of Toronto and its surrounding areas have been placed under a winter weather travel advisory by Environment Canada. Some areas could see between 5 to 15 centimeters of snow by Tuesday morning, which means drivers are being asked to drive with caution.
What we need you to do is to put your hands on the wheel, put your eyes on the road, keep your mind on the task of driving, and realize how quickly conditions can change. You can go from wide open visibility to whiteout conditions in a matter of seconds if you're in an exposed area of the province.
Cities north of Toronto have been placed under a snowfall warning. Environment Canada warns those areas could receive close to 20 centimeters of snow, which means everyone has a role to play when it comes to safety.
If you're taking public transit or you're a pedestrian out there, again, being aware of your surroundings, keeping your own personal safety in mind, always keeping your head on a swivel, watching out for other traffic. Light clothing is always a good idea, especially in these darker days where there is not as much sunlight.
Now, despite the weather advisories and warnings, people tell me that they're happy about the snow.
It's my first snow ever, so I got to see first snowfall with my husband, so I'm so happy about it. And we're just coming all the way from Dubai.
Are your shovels ready?
They're ready to go, and so is my husband.
Now, for those of us visiting family or friends on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, Environment Canada says travel should be fine despite some freezing drizzles and flurries. Tariq Reed, CBC News, Toronto.
It's one of the busiest times of the year for travel. Airports are bustling with Canadians flying off to celebrate the holidays with family and friends across the country and around the world. And with that, there's bound to be some delays and cancellations. But the federal government is pushing for new rules that will help passengers better cope with those problems. Julia Wong has more.
Ottawa is proposing new rules it hopes will strengthen air passenger rights. And they come as new numbers from StatsCan show travel is almost back up to pre-pandemic levels. The proposed changes would require airlines to provide meals and overnight accommodations if necessary, when flights are delayed at least 2 hours. Carriers would also have to provide assistance to passengers up to 72 hours after their flight is delayed or canceled due to an exceptional circumstance. And they would have to provide a refund within 15 days, down from 30 days. Passengers say they would be happy with anything that bolsters their rights.
I'm all on board with that, actually, and I think even the rights that we have right now have dramatically increased over the last few years with passenger rights.
Experts say the proposed changes are a step in the right direction, but also say they don't go far enough.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done here in Canada to make sure we have the same level of protection as other countries.
The Canadian Transportation Agency estimates the proposed changes would cost carriers $512 million over 10 years. It says for passengers, that works out to 99 cents per flight every year. The airline industry is taking issue with the proposed changes. The National Airlines Council of Canada, which represents the largest carriers in this country, says that the proposed regulations would be costly for carriers and would make air travel less affordable for Canadians. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
Workers at Canadian National Railway will not be going on strike in the new year. Unifor says its members have ratified a new 4-year contract agreement. The union represents 3,000 people working in CN terminals across Canada. They include mechanics, crane operators, and administrative staff. Workers voted last month in favor of a strike that would have started New Year's Day. Now, the main issues were a pay increase, better job security, and improved working conditions. Welcome back. Watching Christmas movies is a tradition for many of us, including those Hallmark holiday romances. Many of them are set in small-town USA, but did you know many are actually filmed here in Ontario? Lorena Redekop has more on the impact of holiday films to this province.
My life is a mess right now. Good things come to you when you're out in the cold, Kathy.
The winter wonderland in the Netflix film Hot Frosty, it's actually Brockville, Ontario, not Hope Springs, New York. And the snow? Well, that's as fake as the town's name. It was filmed in April.
So the community was coming down, watching, and people would go every day. I drove by it every single day, looking out my window, seeing what was new.
It meant a big boost for local businesses during filming. Restaurants and hotels filled with cast and crew in what's usually a slow time. Brockville wanted to expand beyond just being a summer tourist spot. And like the holiday magic of a chiseled snow sculpture come to life, it's happening.
So to see people looking at Brockville in a different light, seeking us out and realizing that there's actually a lot to do here in the winter as well, it's been really special.
The town is attempting to capitalize on the movie's popularity. Hot Frosty bingo cards, a pattern for knitting a magic scarf. Perfect for throwing on your own snowman. Plus, a local cafe came up with the Hot Frosty drink, hot chocolate with ice cream. But that's just one example of the dollars generated by holiday films in Ontario.
It doesn't matter what part of the province you're from. When you see your town or city being reflected in these films, you get a warm, fuzzy feeling for that.
This town is adorable. North Bay is a holiday movie hotspot. You can even take a local tour of all the film locations there. Tax credits from both the federal and provincial governments are a big incentive for companies.
This is something that we're very proud of. These regional tax credits are paying dividends for these smaller communities.
Plus, there's an extra bonus to shoot in Northern Ontario, a special heritage fund, making a perfect match.
This is strictly professional and platonic.
Deal. A production budget of $5 million could receive $500,000.
Come on in. Welcome to your Christmas tour.
The company Hideaway Pictures is based in Sudbury and North Bay, and holiday films are a big part of their business.
I think we've done about 50 or 60 of them over the last decade. So we know Christmas very well.
Almost like the plot of one of their movies, the CEO is a local Sudbury boy who moved back home. In the 12 years since, filmmaking in Northern Ontario has heated up. In early December, 3 of their latest holiday films were in Netflix's top 10 internationally. He says the productions make a big difference to the local economy. They really saw the impact during the pandemic, when they could keep working under COVID protocols.
From hotels to cars to caterers to local crew members. We did a movie once where we spent tens of thousands of dollars at a flower shop, and it kept that flower shop afloat.
With streaming services and more places to air holiday films, the industry could keep growing.
There is more to the town of Aurora than the Aurora Borehouse.
And the snow? Sometimes it is real, like in this film, standing in for Alaska. Another advantage to the northern location. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
We're just 2 days away from Christmas, and Premier Ford is sharing his message for Ontario ahead of the holidays.
Merry Christmas to all, with a new year in sight. Merry Christmas, Ontario, and to all a good night.
Ford was in full costume, donning the big red suit. The video posted to X also outlines the province's wish list for 2025, including an end to gridlock and expanding healthcare. It's official, Santa Claus has been cleared for travel in Canadian airspace.
Oh, hi, Santa.
Hello, Minister.
I've just received your flight plan and I'm giving you the green light to take off, Santa.
Oh, thank you. I wish you a very Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Minister of Transport Anita Anand reviewed key documents and Santa's travel plans before giving her approval. You'll be able to follow along with Santa's journey on Christmas Eve at NORAD's online tracker. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay with us. Chris Potter now joins me with more on the forecast. And yeah, it was a pretty chilly weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some snow.
Yeah, I'll call it the 1-2 punch. Yeah. We had the cold through the weekend. Now we're into snowfall. But much better in terms of the overall temperature conditions. If you weren't a fan of the cold, like many of us aren't, 0 was the high in Toronto. -10 in Ottawa. They stuck with that cold Arctic air, 1 in Windsor and 2 in Chatham. But now we're talking about the snowfall. It will improve before Tuesday morning. But if you're going to be traveling before that, be prepared for quickly changing road conditions because some plows are going to be out there and some might miss the secondary. So it looks like 5 to 15 centimeters in blue, 10 to 20 east of Georgian Bay and in towards eastern Ontario where snowfall warnings are posted. This is a system that will continue to migrate eastward moving into the Maritimes. So if you're maybe traveling by air, obviously definitely call ahead because it might improve for Toronto at Pearson, it will deteriorate out east. So if you are heading out east, keep that in mind. So for the rest of the day, for your Tuesday, for those getting out there and doing the last minute shopping, not a bad day. Obviously, you're going to have to shovel. Obviously, you're going to have to brush off your vehicle, but no active weather will be out there. But obviously, some of those secondary roads might not be plowed because obviously they have hours until they have to do them. The primaries are the primary focus, obviously. For Wednesday, Christmas Day, cloud cover, sure, not a lot of sun, but no active weather for those traveling. As we get into Thursday for Boxing Day, those wanting to venture out and maybe do some shopping, hopefully to get a deal, it's still cloudy, but still dry. In terms of the snowfall potential, the bulk of it will be north and east of the city, so it does look like we're going to be missing out on the significant snowfall, but with 5 to 10 here in the downtown core, it does look like a white Christmas after all. -1 for the overnight, so not much movement in those temperatures. Around 0 to 1 for the daytime highs for tomorrow. We'll hold on to lots of cloud. Cloudy again for Wednesday. 0 degrees is your high. 0 for us on Thursday. By Friday, we're mostly cloudy with a high of 2. The chance of some evening showers. And look what happens for Saturday and for that matter Sunday. We'll likely see temperatures in the mid, maybe even the upper single digits for Sunday. So what a contrast from last weekend.
I know. And for those who are hoping for that white Christmas, probably getting their wish, eh?
Yeah, in a lot of areas,
Yeah, sounds good.
Did you finish your Christmas shopping?
I just have a few more things. So maybe tomorrow I'll shovel and I'll head to the mall, right?
First time
How about
this
you?
year, I finished early.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. High five. That's all the time we have tonight. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.